All right, we're recording. I've got a team review, roster review for the Brock Ness Monster. Jason is right 55. He's in a 12-team start 9 Superflex PPR. So the first thing I scan is just where are you in keep trade cut value. This is not a great metric. You're at 8th out of 12, so you can definitely contend depending on, like, is it good value? Is it value that's in your lineup? We'll talk about this as I see things that are outliers. Mostly, like, I'll just talk about, oh, well, here they're ranked as QB3, and I think they're not that, for example. Let's start going through your team. The start 9. So quarterbacks: Jordan Love, Brock Purdy, Mac Jones, Will Levis, Trey Lance. Yeah, this is a solid 3, kind of a weaker 3. Here's an example of Brock Purdy is QB 13 in keep trade cut. I think that's like spot on. He's or a little low. He's probably a little bit better than QB 13, so that would boost you up ahead of HUD Puckers, which is just fun to say. Jordan Love, you're probably going to get the same production out of these two. Both borderline QB1s, like either one of them could be finish the year as QB7, QB8, and it wouldn't really surprise me. Or both of them. You could have QB7, 8, 9, 10 right here. I don't know why the community is just so low on them compared to someone like CJ Stroud. They're all kind of the same. Love, Purdy, Lawrence, not much of a difference here. So solid quarterback room. Not going to be the reason you're really winning championships, but pretty good. Running backs: Omarion Hampton, you probably just drafted. Isaiah Pacheco, Aaron Jones, Jaden Blue, and then a bunch of other dart throws. Not incredible. A strong 2, like Hampton will get you up to a 2, and then we're looking at Pacheco and Jones are probably starting for you, or Ramondre Stevenson some weeks. And you're hoping that Jaden Blue is the guy in Dallas. Like, he could be, but I don't feel confident enough to say that right now. If you're going to have one weak spot on a roster, though, I would want it to be the second running back. So that's not so bad. Wide receivers. Okay. Ted McMillan, Zay Flowers. It looks like you're starting to come out of some rebuilding. Like, you have Hampton and Tet on the team. Zay Flowers, you probably thought was like a good young asset. Man, this is 2 out of 5 on wide receivers. Tight end, Sam Laporta and Mark Andrews. I mean, that's really strong 4, borderline 5. Like, there's just not much better that can be. So let's come up with, how are you looking for next year? 3 seconds? You can do a lot with 3 seconds. And a first. Let's try to put together a starting lineup and get an idea of, is this team contending this year, or is it another year of retooling? So we got to get to 9. And we've got Love, Purdy, Hampton, probably Pacheco, Tet, Flowers, Pearsall, Godwin. And then we're just kind of hoping. Like, Calvin Ridley is probably in there. He's listed as wide receiver 53, but you're probably going to get more production than that. So that, let me just run through that real quickly again. Laporta, Love, Purdy, Hampton, Checo, Tet, Zay, Pearsall, Godwin. Okay. Yeah, I think I had forgotten to count Laporta. So you're borderline. Man, where can we make this team better? I don't know that it's a team that I'm confident even makes the playoffs. You're definitely within range. These numbers are not like I mean, this is nothing. Effectively nothing. And then going from 86 to 92, like, that's just within the realm of us being wrong about players. So how can we make this team better? You can probably try to tear down from Sam Laporta. You have Mark Andrews, who's a starting guy. If I had this team, that's one of the first spots I'd be looking to make a move, would be, let's send him out and see if we can get to, do you have a tight end premium? No. What kind of a receiver can you tier up to with Kyle Williams? Does someone move Kyle Williams for and Laporta Can that get you to that Drake London, Nico Collins, Marv range? A cheaper option that I think you should be able to get more than Laporta would be like Rishi Rice. But in the sort of deal, I'm trying to move like Kyle Williams. Can I get anything for Ramondre Stevenson? If you're sending the best player, you kind of want to get value for the worst player in the deal as well. Like, I don't think you're going to get anything for Miles Sanders and Khalil Herbert. So we'd be looking to do that with Ramondre Stevenson, Jaden Blue, stuff like that. Calvin Ridley, Christian Watson. There's a lot of this value here that is just dead value. Christian Watson, he's probably not playing this year and then is off the Packers. Jalen Polk, probably spent a late second on him last year and now he's nothing. Hopkins maybe gives you a year. I think we just need to decide, are we going to contend this year or are we doing another year of retooling? And if we're retooling, we're shipping out Zay Flowers to just cash in and re-roll for another first. You're probably holding Ricky Pearsall to see if he takes off. Like, I don't know that you could get that full first round value that I think he should get right now. I'll rephrase that. Basically, I think Ricky Pearsall, once he starts producing, will become worth at least a 26 first, and I don't think you could get that right now, so you might need to hold if we're doing another year of retooling before contending. And if we're retooling, you could also just get firsts for next year out of Love and Purdy. If you want to go for it this year, I'd probably do the same thing. Move Love or Purdy and try to get to Dak Prescott. And that way you'll get better production, but he's older, so you'll only have it for 2 to 3 more years, which is fine in Dynasty. I don't really ever think of guys as 5 to 10 year players. I'm really only thinking 3 years out. So if you could move to Dak from one of those guys at a good value, that would push you back up into a strong contending option. Other moves you could make. You could sell high on Hampton, or not even high, just start moving stuff with Hampton. That would be a lowercase scenario for me. If you could get to Dak, that would then incentivize me to start moving seconds to get like Kamara in here. That would help push you over to contention, or that's something you're doing next year. It looks like you're coming through some retooling, rebuilding, and it's just about what do you want to decide to do? Like, go in this year. I think you're borderline. If injuries hit you right, you could come into the playoffs as the 6 seed, the 5 seed, the 4 seed, and that works out more often than you think. The number 1 team is not that far ahead of you or anyone else. Let's take a look at them. So that's 227 first is some of that value, so it's not going to be as hard to beat as you might think. 3 really strong quarterbacks, 4 quarterbacks here. Like, this team is not massively ahead of the rest of the league in terms of week-to-week lineup. They just have a lot of value. That's one of the things I was mentioning at the start of the video, saying, hey, kind of ignore this a little bit. Start to look through it and see, is it value that's in the lineup? This team's looking pretty good. Thoughts on this team also probably pretty. This is a really good quarterback room to me. If you're trying to make a quarterback room, you have a really good option at a good price. You have an option that's undervalued, and then you have a future value option. And you really only need 2 quarterbacks in a super flex league. And by the time these, depending on the bye week schedules, like Jackson Dart could be starting later in the year by the time these guys have buys, if it works out that way. But it's not something I would worry about. I'm just trying to gauge how many teams ahead of you are like massively ahead of you. So let's start with like Manuary Madness. See some of this values in 2 seconds. There probably also have been retooling, or 2 firsts, 226 firsts. They've probably also been retooling, but they're weak on running backs. Like, that's not really a contending roster. This is fine. That's fine. Like, you're in the mix. You're not out of it. I wouldn't totally punt on the year, but I'd be looking to make moves that are really thinking about future value as well. So we're not really excited unless we can get tier downs from quarterback to gain a lot of value into other spots in the lineup. Basically, if you can move Love and get Dak, like I mentioned, that pushes you up into point production. And then you can start looking at grabbing someone like Devontae Adams, it has 1 or 2 more years left, but will help push you towards the top in terms of points. Sam Laporta is a tier down option that can really help your week-to-week lineup because you can just sub Mark Andrews in. You don't really have any sort of tight end premium, and Mark Andrews is still good. Some of this tight end 12 is just his age. And he started last year hurt. He was in a car crash after recovering from a broken leg. I think some of what we saw with Mark Andrews at the start of the year wasn't telling the story of what the next 1 to 2 years of his career will be. So I would feel safe moving Laporta for a receiver, a value insulated receiver. You could probably other cheap receiver options that are a little bit older that could help this team, like DK Metcalf probably has 2 to 3 solid years left. AJ Brown is a more expensive, slightly more expensive but better version of DK Metcalf, where you have 2 to 3 more years of production from him at a really decent price, but you'd have to get some of that value unlocked out of Laporta, the quarterbacks, and then some of these dead running backs, Rachaad White, Ramondre Stevenson, Kendre Miller. If you can get anything, a third back from those and start adding thirds to trades to make to get towards better tier ups, adding thirds on top of Kyle Williams, what can that get you? Stuff like that is moves I would be looking to make. Cool. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments of the YouTube video for some engagement. This is one of the longer ones I've done.